Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ModzvilleUSA here, and I've been making videos off and on since about 2015, and I finally get to say the line I've been wanting to say for so long. I didn't want to have to make this video, but today we're going to talk about Project Stellar. Well, alright, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way from the top. The initial marketing for this thing does not at all line up with the reality of the current state of Stellar. These are the features Stellar was advertised to have when we threw our money down for pre-orders, and as of today, these are the features that are still missing. The beta was said to end in January, however, people didn't start getting these until April. This is very much a beta experience as of now, and many people feel rightfully deceived. That being said, this is a very sleek piece of hardware with a clean presentation. It has the potential to be great, but it's nowhere near the greatest thing since sliced bread that is marketed as. That being said, let me show you how to update from a legacy HD Plus install to a Stellar and get everything set up. Now, if you're on the fence about upgrading from Open Xenium running the patched M8 firmware, consider watching to the end of this video, as it's currently an upgrade in some ways and a downgrade in others. The first thing you need to do if you're upgrading from Open Xenium with patched M8 is boot up the HD Plus and check for an update in the application. Now, it should be on at least 2.2.0. Now download and boot Pandora. It'll be linked down below. Navigate to Xbox console-based applications, BIOS/original, and grab the original 5838 and extract it. Hook the Stellar up via USB-C. Navigate to the setup page. Click to connect and upload the 5838 file that we downloaded. Now, disconnect the wire connected to the D0 pad on your Open Xenium, and you can easily connect it to the nearby ground screw post to avoid having to use the DAT0 to ground flex cable that comes with the kit. Now remove the Open Xenium from the pin header. You will likely have an empty row of unpopulated pins up top. You can choose to populate those if you wish with some spare pin headers. Replace the pin header with the included one, or keep it as is. No current features use the top row at the time of making this, so keeping it with the stock Open Xenium setup should be totally fine for now. Remove the original wires and install the Stellar Link PCB. The included clamp is very stiff and sketchy to remove. It could easily damage something. You're probably better off just tacking in one joint and adjusting the Stellar Link manually without the clamp. Plug the link cable into the Stellar and hook up Stellar to the pin headers. When installing Stellar to the pin headers, make sure to align it from the bottom row. Now hold start while booting the console to get into the Stellar OS menu. If it's not displaying properly, power down, reseat your Stellar Link cable, reflow. These things can be a bit touchy. Now if that doesn't work for you, boot up to the stock dashboard and disable 720p temporarily. Boot into Stellar OS menu and update to the latest release. After the update, check to make sure the HD Plus is connected in the menu. If it's not, double check the Stellar Link, reflow, reseat, try again. Once it shows it's connected, re-enable 720p. If you're still having display issues, try disabling the 720p boot animation. Now initially when Stellar released, legacy formatted HDDs weren't supported, so you had no choice but to format your drive. Thankfully that's been resolved as of now. If your hard drive is already set up, just create a folder called Dashboard on the E drive and place your preferred dashboard in that folder. Make sure the XBE is labeled default.xbe though. Once you set up your custom dashboard, there doesn't appear to be any way to boot back into stock dashboard without removing the dashboard from the hard drive. An option to boot the stock dash from the Stellar OS menu or a hotkey to boot it would be much appreciated. The text on the startup animation also appears to be Comic Sans, which I find incredibly concerning. Now, I went ahead and tested the built-in HDD formatting tool, and it's working as expected. If you're starting with a fresh drive, make sure you have an 80-wire IDE cable and an IDE to SATA adapter. If using the green ones, make sure to reflow before using, as the joints are super scuffed from the factory. You can set your HDD up from the Stellar OS menu and transfer files over FTP. Use Flash FXP, as FileZilla was giving me all kinds of issues. Now, if you're doing a large build from scratch, I'd highly recommend just doing everything straight from FAT Explorer. They've added an option to format for Stellar in there. File speeds are way faster than FTP, so you're going to want to do this. I'll have a link to a dock to USB adapter that I use down below. Now go ahead and go download Hasno C&E zip, link below. He keeps this up to date. Transfer the contents of C to your C drive, and the contents of E to your E drive. And this is not for specifically Stellar. This will get you going using any Xbox BIOS. Now again, make sure to make a dashboard folder on your E drive and copy your preferred dashboard to said folder, and double check the XBE is named default.xbe. Now, since my console is 128 megabyte RAM modded, you'll see that the Stellar OS is capable of detecting it. However, if I boot to the dashboard, you will see that it only appears as 64 megabytes. Now, if I go ahead and check my system information in XBMC, you'll see that it shows that my CPU is reading at over 1000 degrees Celsius, which is a bit troubling, but that has got to be a bug. Currently, the only working format is the traditional extracted ISO format. ISO and CISO are not supported. If you're looking forward to using that, then you'll need to redo your build completely once that gets implemented. From what I can tell, they are planning to make a completely new ISO format and have no plans on implementing traditional XISO or CCI support. If you already have an existing XISO collection, there doesn't appear to be any plans to add support for that going forward. The new CCI compressed ISO format that Cerbios uses is fantastic. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like they're willing to add support for that, which is very disappointing. One of the coolest features that Stellar has to offer currently is support for CPU upgraded consoles. The CPU upgrade is very niche, but I do happen to have one. Traditionally, many games break when using a CPU upgraded console. Now, Stellar OS manages to fix this, which is amazing news for those of us who are lucky enough to own one. Now, in its current state, I can only really recommend this if you have a CPU upgraded system, but it's still missing 128 megabyte RAM support, so you still might want to hold off. As of right now, in many ways, Stellar does less than a traditionally hard-modded Xbox. It has a sleek UI and super sleek hardware, but there's very little substance to back it up currently. Now, if this device interests you, I highly recommend you wait and make sure that they deliver on their promises before forking over your hard-earned dollars. Now, if they had been honest about the lack of features this thing was going to have at launch, none of this would be a problem. However, the marketing versus reality has left many people pretty disappointed. Now, if this does everything you want your Xbox to do already, then I say go for it. For me, it leaves a lot to be desired, and I would have waited on purchasing this if the marketing had been upfront. Now, this thing really marketed itself as an ODE for the original Xbox, but currently it is no more of an ODE than a regular, soft-modded original Xbox. They sold you shit, and they're trying to call it Shinola. Now, if you're looking for a cheaper BIOS option, I highly recommend you check out Cerbios. You can use Pandora that we grabbed earlier, and grab the latest build from Xbox console-based applications, and BIOS. If you're using a stock IDE drive, flash the standard bin. If you have the green IDE to SATA adapter, use UDMA4. And if you have the StarTech IDE to SATA adapter, use UDMA5. Now it offers custom boot animations, ISO support, compress ISO support, and can be flashed to any other Xbox mod chip or tsop flash. Unfortunately, the Stellar is incapable currently to boot any kind of other BIOS other than Stellar OS. If you're looking for an HDMI solution, Electron Shepherd makes a very solid plug-and-play adapter for $35. The HDMI adapter from Chimeric Systems is also fantastic, but you'll need to sign up for the waiting list. Now, personally, I use Component into a RetroTink 5X, and I'm very happy with it. Now, with MakeMhz products, you kind of get locked into a bit of an ecosystem, which many of us who enjoy modding our systems mod our systems to get away from that kind of thing. Now, I prefer freedom and flexibility any day, but to each their own. Now, if you have a Stellar and or an HD Plus setup and you're enjoying it, don't let this video take that away from you. Use what you want to use, like what you want to like. If you're on the fence about buying one, consider waiting until they deliver on the features you want out of this thing. They may deliver, they may not. As of right now, this is a purchase on blind faith. Believe it when you see it. And anyways, that's just my 2 cents, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.